few things that I really like. I like ships, sailing wooden sailboats like from the 1800s, and I follow this
Okay.
guy. His name is Leo. He owns Samson Boat Company. Is his company? He bought Tally Ho.
Huh.
Tally Ho is a famous English ship. They used to. You may have heard it when you're in school. They taught. It's in the history books. He bought it for $1 and he's rebuilding it. He's almost done. He's about
Oh, wow.
2/3 of the way done rebuilding, and he's going to sail it back to England. It is a beautiful ship in Washington.
Mhm.
It's up in Port Townsend, Washington, is where they have all the shipbuilding
Oh, wow.
that they do up there in Seattle, out of the Seattle area. And the other things that my ancestors were sailors, so I've like Vikings and shit like that. So anything that has to do with wooden sailboats. So it's kind of in my blood. And the other thing is my ancestors were into mining, gold mining.
Okay.
The Groots, my family went to mine in California, and then they came up to Oregon and mined up here in Oregon. And that's how come we're here. But
All right.
there's a guy in California that bought Cerro Gordo mine.
Mm-hmm.
It is the largest silver mine in the country, and it overlooks Death Valley. So he's like,
oh, wow.
he's like, I forget how many thousand feet. He looks down into Death Valley from his. This is an old abandoned mine. He bought it and he's been rebuilding it. And he goes down 900 feet, 1,200 feet into this mine and brings this silver up and does all this stuff. And that mine basically built L.A.
Oh,
LA
wow.
exists because of that mine. That mine is they pulled more. They pulled all the wealth of LA came from that one mine, pretty much. Or about these figures, about 60% of the wealth that built the city was built off of two things: the water that was in Death Valley that's no longer there because they routed it. It was a giant river in Death Valley. A lake was in Death Valley. That whole valley was a lake.
Oh.
And they make canals to canal the water to LA, and it killed Cerro Gordo mine. All that whole area was full of people, and it basically they had to leave because now there's no water.
Yeah.
And
oh, man.
And that between the water being pumped to LA to feed LA's demand for water and the silver going into LA to make money, those two things were very big parts of LA becoming the massive city it is today, but come from this one particular mine. It's pretty cool. It's called Cerro Gordo. He wrote a book about it up there, and he's rebuilding this hotel, and when it's done, I'd like to go over there and just stay in his hotel one night or two nights and have him take me down into the mine and experience some of that. But mining it, that guy's cool. And then the Samson Boat Company, I like to go up there for when they put it into the water before, when they go and they christen the boat and then they make the maiden voyage.
Yeah.
I'd like to be there for that, just to see that ship sail out, but maybe never. It may happen, may not.
Oh, that's interesting.
Those kind of things really are cool to me because those are like the things that my family is in our blood,
Yeah.
So it's the Groots were sailors and the Groots were miners. Those are the two things that our history has. They were sailors before they came to America, and then when they were on the continent, later generations went into mining. So
oh, wow.
those two things that really interest me now. It's like I've not sailed or mined. I've done a little mining, but I haven't really done any sailing. Everybody's been on a boat or two, but I've never been on a sailboat where I travel on the ocean like that.
Yeah.
But yet I know the language. As a kid, I heard the terms. I knew, grow up, and that's where those words come from. That's sailor terms. That's miner terms, and that's in my history. You kind of carry it with you. Your family uses those things, vernaculars,
Yeah.
And you're like, where are those vernaculars? Well, that's a sailor. That's how they spoke when they sailed on the seas, and this is what these are languages that come out of mines. Communities that would mine, they have certain words. This is different things. It's like the term miner. Where do when you're a kid? Because in the old world, the miners were children. In the early part of this country, in the Europe.
Okay. Yeah,
and you get the dwarfs and the gnomes that live in the holes in the ground. It's because it's the little children. The mines were dug about 3 feet. The coal mines were only about 3 feet in diameter. So You and me as adults can't go in there. And the term miner is for the little kids that could go in. And now
Huh.
we still use it to call children miners, because under a certain height they're called a miner,
Oh, wow.
because they would go in and they'd live and die in those mines. Those kids would be
Oh,
taken
no.
from their parents and sold like slaves, and they go live and work in the mine for the rich guy to dig coal out of the ground, and they die in those places.
Eesh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's all on the internet, though. You got to. It's history. People look this stuff up, and they find it's these canal guys that go, the canal boaters. They went by this mine. One group, several of them. They go by the same areas, and they got out and look at these, and they have this little thing with a mine cart, and this is a mine here, and they'd use the canal boats to carry the coal. That's they mine
Oh, okay.
it out,
Yeah.
and some of the mines are right close to the canal, so they get out and walk around, and these little placards in the mine cart of the notes they found from the children that died in the mines.
Oh,
They
wow.
wrote it out on these little, fake coal slabs,
Yeah.
and set up a memorial, and you can read what the children were writing in their on little bits of paper or whatever in a book. Maybe they had a book. They were taking pieces of coal and writing down, and they put their age down. I'm so and so. I haven't seen the light of day and stuff, and it's written on these little placards, and it's for public. Public can go by and look at it. It's not a
wow.
mystery. It's true. It's just the amount of it. But people don't realize how much of that was going on. They think, oh, just a few kids. No, there were thousands of them that were doing that. That's how they mined all that stuff. Nowadays, with technology, they can dig out big holes. But back then, they had to pick them.
Yeah.
Pick away. So the bigger the hole, the longer it would take for them to get to the coal, because the coal's way into the ground.
Oh, wow.
So they'd use little children. You didn't have to pay children. If you're an adult guy and you have little kids, they can't fight you. They're dwarfs, they're gnomes, they're little bitty people. Pow! Go into the mine and do your job. You can't stop them. You can't stop the adults from making the kids go in there. And then they made it illegal. They finally made it illegal for children to work.
Good.
But they kept the term miner, because they were miners. That's what brought about the change. When they enacted the laws, the children were predominantly used in coal mining in America. They made it illegal for miners to work in the mines. The children.